European beech, Fagus sylvatica. That's a pretty heavy piece of material. It looks ugly like hell at the moment, but don't worry, this can be a nice tree eventually. So it was already much, much bigger and much, much higher, very high tree, was brutally cut here and then brought back, and now is the time to let grow again and cut back, and eventually the crown will be like this. However, right now, here and today, we must do something about all these ugly cuts here. If we do nothing, and the crown will develop, we will not be able to work anymore because the branches will be in our way, and it will take a long time before this will rot and look credible anyway. Do not even for a millisecond think that you can ever close this hole or these holes. You will never close these big holes. So you have to make a scar that looks credible, like it was a long branch that broke off and nature did that. Do not try to make what the bonsai book tells you, a nice round wound that will callus over. It will not callus over, never. So make an irregular wound that looks like something broke. If it's ugly, make it even uglier. If it's big, make it even bigger. Do exactly the contrary of what they tell you. And then, if you do the right thing, it will eventually look good. It will look terrible right after cutting. We will cut this tree over the weekend and we'll show you. And if you then say, well, it looked better before and it doesn't look better afterwards, yes, that's the way you do it with this sort of tree. Okay, here we certainly need a very, very strong power tool to do something here. And with all these cuts, we have to really refine them. The rest, nature will do. Where is the front? Well, obviously where I am standing is the back. Here is somewhere the front, but it does not really matter at this point in time exactly where it is. There's a big sector which is fine, and you work according to this.
Walter, sorry. Even those new branches, they were almost a meter long.
Yes.
So I cut them back to only 2 buds.
No, that's
this
the way,
spring.
That's the way to develop a tree like that, and it will take years and years. And when it's finished, in 20 years or so, it can look very good. That is why most big names never ever do something like that. They don't have 20 years to wait. And after 20 years, nobody will say, what a wonderful artist you are. They will say, nature did it. Because if you do the right thing, it will look like a naturally grown tree. And they will think you're a good gardener, but not a good artist. This is why artists don't do that. Well, we are not, well, we are art artists, but hobby artists, sort of, and we do it for our pleasure. So, yes, this is a tree for a young man to work on for over a long, long time. And you will have the biggest beech around. You know? I have not seen many beeches which are bigger than that. That's the maximum size, because if you have a crown like that, you will always have a problem to either show this in an exhibit. There's simply not the space. You cannot carry it to photograph it. This is a typical centerpiece in the garden again, which stays there all year round. People can walk around it. That's what these trees are good for. If you compare this tree with that tree here, you can see the difference in material. Okay, I mean, there are universes in between. You have to see the species. For a Fagus, for a European beech, this is fine. This can be a very good beech. Now, if you look at this, this is so much better, incredibly better, because that's a different species. It's an oriental hornbeam. It has so much more character and fine. You see all this growth, that happens in 2 years. And this is already in training since 4 years.
3 or
4 years. And it will take another 20 years before you can really look at this, and this can be finished in 5 years. So this is much, much better. But we don't want to have a collection of only one species. You also want 1 or 2 Faguses. Typically we have a lot of these Carpinus and 1 or 2 of these beeches. At least in my garden, that's also the case. Because there's not an awful lot else than what we are already doing that you can do with it. It will be a good looking tree, but it will not be very exciting, never. This is not the kind of material. like this here. This will be exciting. This will be incredibly good. This will be good if you work the right, do the right work. Yeah, this was almost my tree for 5 minutes, and then I decided it's too big for me. Thank you for taking it, especially in your garden.
You're welcome.
More, you have to go at least 10 centimeters down.
Okay. And this side, here all the way down. Okay.
This side is okay, but here,
Walter, I'm destroying some amount of buds. I cannot avoid that. All this will die or not?
well, that's it, yeah.
Okay.
Look at what water is down here. You see? Sebastian has mutilated this tree in 2 hours, and as I said before, it looks ugly. It was ugly before, and it's ugly again, however, in a different way. Now, this is an ugliness that eventually will look okay, will look even good. Why is that? Because he has taken away the obvious marks of man, where we had flat cuts with a saw, which only man can do in nature never. Now this kind of hole, while it looks ugly and brutal, eventually will look like nature did. Most people, when they see something like this, they think and they know that you have to seal the wounds, number one, and you have to treat the dead wood. That is what we have learned in bonsai. Okay? What do I say about it? Forget it. Nonsense. Total nonsense. Do not seal the wound. Do not treat it with anything. Leave it as it is. Of course, we could now clean this and make it even smoother and nicer. So what for? It will always look ugly at this time. Now, give this 5 years, And when you do nothing, this will start rotting. This will become dark, very dark. There will be rotten parts, which you can then take out with a very strong brush. And only after a long, long time, like 10 years or so, this will even be hollow. Then you start really liking this. Then you conserve it with wood hardener. And then you may even treat it with a biotree cleaner to clean it of algae. If you don't paint it with lime sulfur, or if with lime sulfur, then you add a lot of black ink so that it's dark. You can use a torch to burn it. So if this will never be white, please never make the mistake of making the dead wood of a deciduous tree white with lime sulfur. Make it black, make it dark, okay? So the crown will be like this, and you will only see all this dead wood that we have created now when you really look into the crown or when the foliage is off, and it will look like nature did it. It will be a prominent piece of a collection in the garden, sitting on a pedestal so that people can walk around. It doesn't have a clearly defined front. The front is in a sector from here to here somewhere. It doesn't really matter. This is typically not a tree for a bonsai exhibit. It's just too big and too heavy. But one or two in the collection is fine, just like this one. Okay, yeah, maybe I made a mistake of not taking that tree. Congratulations.
Maybe we can negotiate.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Okay, for all
Master.
those who are not deeply into the bonsai, just trust me, believe me. We know what we are doing. I know you think it's terrible. Yes, because it seems to be terrible. It seems to be cruel. Well, trees are not minding much because trees are prepared for this. The storm comes, the bear breaks something. So a tree is totally prepared for this cruelty. It's not like if I did that to a person or to an animal, it would be terrible. But to a tree, it's okay. I know that you don't think it's okay. Well, give us 10 years and then you will like that tree because of what we have done now. That's bonsai. If you absolutely hate this, do ikebana.